Ojwang.
Yes, sir.
The president seems to be getting bolder every day in actually speaking his mind. Yesterday, he came out in Nairobi, akasema ya kwamba siwachi kiti mwizi. Mwizi ni nani?
How is that the complete quote?
Alisema, I'm leaving, but I want to make sure that I don't leave the country to some people. And the question is, in a democracy, you know, even the stories of the Mwizi and all that, does it mean that every time every president that we've had has been handed over by a president that was leaving? Where's the space of democracy?
You see, the democracy should have a warranty of the citizen to even make wrong choice if they want to. And they have made a few wrong choices here and there. This is, but I think in his view, he has where the country should go. That is not a bad thing. He should influence. He should inspire. But I think he also knows the limit of what is doable. What is not doable is that, you know, we saw Biden. Biden did not become president because Trump wanted him to be. Biden became the president in spite of what Trump did. I think he's getting bolder or more else desperate. If there's such a, he's getting desperate and desperate as days move along. At the initial stage, he thought his comment and views are so much sought out that if I just give a hint, people will read. You know, read my lips kind of thing, read my mood, read between the lines. So he's getting a little desperate because time is also running out. But, you know, the best way to influence people is to influence without them knowing you are influencing them. Because usually it is when, you know, they say the art of diplomacy is when somebody do what you want but think they're doing it for themselves. But when you come out to influence very hard, you become less persuasive, you become desperado, and chances that you can move people with conviction become rare because it becomes your project. That is why MCS can easily say, if you want this BBI of yours to pass, then pay to play. Because you have become so attached to it, you are pushing it and ramming it through us, and therefore we can get what we want.
Wow. So the president actually, you know, looking back at history, is there a time an outgoing president has ever influenced an incoming government? In just before Kenyatta died, there was an aggressive campaign to amend the constitution to stop Moi from ascending to power. In 2002, when Moi was leaving power, he had given Uhuru Kenyatta as his successor in apparent hay, and he never got into power. Look again at when it came to the Nusum Kate government. Raila Odinga was the prime minister, kept telling us that we cannot leave the country in the hands of ICC indictees. If you can remember that. The president, there was also the conversation of choices have consequences from the international community. This guy today is a sitting president. I mean, does he forget so fast that he was an ICC indictee before he was elected?
Right. His challenges, and every candidate have challenges, but if there is a candidate, as you have well put it, who had insurmountable challenges, it was his candidacy. Because his candidacy started from even the legality of his eligibility. Clearly worried, clearly not guaranteed. Even serious scholars said, no, there is no way you can run after this new 2010 constitution that is really talking of values and principles of governance as indictee. So he beat all the odds. But I think the message here is let the playing field be even. Nobody's going to get it in silver platter. And I think that the more diversity and the more we have choices, that cannot be a bad thing. But you are also right to observe that it has become almost oppositional, so that the dissent against him can actually be fueling other candidates that he's not endorsing. You know, other candidates have looked at it, and I know there is a time that somebody was to endorse even President Obama, and you look at what is the endorsement going to influence? Is it going to help your brand, or destroy your brand, or dent it in a certain way? So I don't know, maybe political scientists will tell us to what extent does Uhuru endorsement carries in terms of the people persuasion. Is it a brand booster?
Or is it a brand diminisher?
Or a brand diminisher? The jury is out. Yes.
All right, let's see. I'm going to see you. Good morning.
Gerald.
Wacha kulalala na tunataka kukupea serikali.
Si watu wa route yenyu wamegoma ati wanasema hawataki super metro zikuje Ngong Road kwa sababu super metro ziko very orderly. They just want to maintain the disorder yenye inakuanga kwa magari za Ngong.
Super metro ni kina nani?
Kuna hizi magari route ya kwenda Kino, Kikuyu na Juja. Zinakuanga hapo, I think around archives. Where there is usually a very long queue, despite people having multiple options, they just want super metro.
So hao ndio wamefanya usifike kwa kazi mapema.
Hao ndio wamenichelewesha huku nje.
Anyway, good to see you. How you doing?
You are resolving the strike?
Yes, I was trying to mediate.
She was fixing the deadlock.
Daktari. Happy New Year, Daktari.
I
think I've seen each other this week.
No,
we haven't seen. Squeezy naoneanga doc pale KTN news.
And you see the way she's getting prettier. I think there are things that happened over the end of the year that really made
since we met here, I think in October. We have not met since she told me off how I have a big head. What else? I still remember the head. There was something wrong with the head. It was disproportionate. There could be other parts, but specifically,
you remember
the head was.
What touched you as the head? I hope you'll get better.
Daktari, I hope you have a better attitude towards advocating for young people this year. Akitafadhali tusikosania hapo. So hakuna kitu kingine tunaweza kosania. Actually, I had a very bad experience the other day.
I saw the video.
Very, very bad experience. You know, it's very sad that you struggle. You're told education is the key to success, and then you struggle to go through the education system. Your parents struggle to raise the school fees, and at the end of the day, your education doesn't seem to make an impact as was expected. You know. And it's a struggle, you know. You can't get employment. Private sector is not thriving, so it cannot create employment. Of course, government cannot create enough employment chances for everybody.
It's not meant to.
It's not meant to. It's not the work of government too. But the work of government is to create a conducive environment for businesses to thrive, so that those businesses can then create employment. Now, when you stop me from even registering that business, where do you expect this employment to come from? And they arrogantly remind us all the time, oh, create employment. Be proactive and employ yourself. Go and do something meaningful. You did not go to school just to be employed. You know, it's...
It is a double speak, Lucia, because I always see, and the person who is talking like that is employed.
Yes.
But telling the youth, mjiajiri na uko, we wacha kutusumbua. The education you had was not for job. Yet, some are even professors.
Yeah.
They are in parliament employed by people. They have not started even a single business, self-employment, but they are here articulating to a 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old, we jiajiri na uko bwana, we wacha kutusumbua. So it is it is a mockery. It is sad, because you are right that what the government should do, you know, I usually talk of human rights and we talk of right to employment, and who has the right to employ you? Is it the government? No, the government should create good environment for social cultural rights, including employment, health, and all that. But there is something I've understood, that the government is more interested and has more conferences for big business deals, for the multinationals. I mean, they want tax wherever they get it. Their lease is over, it's renewed. They have a human rights issue, it's covered up. But they don't think and apply the same to small enterprises. That is why I come from around the border. The small women business have remained magendo across the border. Yet we have signed East African Community Treaty, and we are talking of integration, we are talking of a cross-border business, but that woman who simply go to Uganda shop, pick a few things and bring to Kenya, their business have remained magendo. So there is a way, there is invisibility of the small people within the system. The law is meant for the big, and it become a very sad situation. Yet, I'm glad that you spoke. I saw the video. It's actually up and everywhere, because you stood for emancipation and articulated what probably a lot of young people and old people are going through.
It's not only young people who are broke, actually. Even as old people, we are broke.
If we are broke, they are broke, because we usually end up sharing with them very well.
Yeah, sure. So we're actually having a discussion on the president's comments yesterday that he's not going to hand over the country to some people. And the question is, in a democracy, does the president has the wherewithal to tell us who is going to leave the country? Is a country something that you hand over and say, now, this is my trouser, I've been wearing it for 3 years, I want to hand it over, but I'm not going to hand it over to the son who has been abusing me? I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
Actually, I think President amepoteza plot. Si kwa ubaya. But the president treats this country as his father's business. That's why akona hiyo audacity ya kusimama mbele yetu na tuambie, I'm not going to leave it. Who told you it's yours to leave? Who gave you the permission? Where did you? You know, it's this reckless kind of speaking that actually just messes up everything. You know, I wish we had a president who was structured. I wish we had a president who minded his words. Ours doesn't even seem to think. It's just things coming out of his mind, out of his mouth. You know, like I don't know if he ever consults. I don't know if he has read books. I don't know if he took a course in management. I honestly do not know if there's something he knows about running a country, because whatever it is he's doing goes against everything that management class will teach you.
And then, you know, so the idea of social contract, that we the people is the most important part of our constitution. That we the people say how we want to be governed, and we give people mandate to govern us indirectly. In that social contract, we give up some rights, but at the same time we acquire some. Within that social contract then, we cannot be governed in any other way except how we have allowed ourselves to be governed through the constitution. But there is the extra constitutional now governance where it is moving out of the social contract. As a student of governance, it is purely bad governance. When you look at the values we have in our constitution: accountability, rule of law, democracy. And then one time I asked Professor Guy, you wrote this chapter on values. Were you talking of Kenya values or our neighbors or somebody else? And he said they are aspirational. So the president cannot govern out of the social contract which we have in our constitution, that is saying we, the people, are the sovereign. Sovereign without a gun. It's not the government, it's not him who is the sovereign. And he might have his wishes, and he might have his view of where the country should go. But you know, I've been so much sad of late, because this is the era where I see more of people citing Machiavelli and behaving in a Machiavellian way, than in the constitution way. Machiavelli was 1700, 1800 in Europe. He died, buried. Even French went through revolution, US went through revolution, and constitutions came. We are a constitutional democracy. Even Uganda, even Museveni do not speak that way. You become persuasive by people not knowing you are persuading them. But there is a little bit of desperado on his voice. Thanks.
All right. So we're going to go to the guys in diaspora. I'm going to start with Joel Arama. Joel Arama, good morning.
We would like to actually chip in and help in terms of advice and as you know, tunatuma pesa mingi huko, tukiona ikiwa misused, then we will always complain. Yeah. But we don't have a choice. We'll still send.
Wow.
Kwa nini hujatutumia kwa be miss jaona yako umesema umetuma?
Bana.
Nini yo?
Kwa nini hujatumia yako na umesema you will still send?
Valentine book.
Hey gobe, unataka kunifanyia Valentine mimi? Shindo si time.
No, wacha nikwambie Bitok, unajua Bitok, the biggest problem ni misuse of events. Wewe unaacha wanawake wanachukua Valentine na wanatoroka nayo. Unaona? Lakini ikiwa ni yao ni sawa. Ikiwa ukibadilisha reverse role wanapiga nduru. So saizi ni boy child kaa ngumu boy child.
Haya, nimekusikiza basi. Ulisikia matamshi ya rais?
Yeah, nilisikia. And let me tell you Bitok. And I'll nilisikia Lucia akisema the president has never is talking as if he has never been into a class of management or everything. That is our politics. And we cannot shy away from it. I am telling you, the president has the audacity to say anything in the midst of people who want to hear. And that is what politicians are doing in our country right now. You saw what happened in Kisii. In the midst of whoever Osoro was fighting for was the deputy president. Whoever the other guy was fighting for was the former prime minister. These are lapdogs. It is a high time somebody should stand na kusema hii ni tabia mbaya. And if the leaders stand na kusema we are condemning this, that is it. But these are people who are making fame out of what they are doing. The next time, right now in Kenya, be a politician, do something stupid. The next time you'll be in all radio stations, all TV stations being interviewed, how you did it, why you did it. Unaona? So the president is just saying, because it's a trend that has been there, and the listeners are there. One day, maybe I'm foreseeing a scenario whereby people will walk out when a leader misbehaves. They just walk out or they condemn him. That is not going to happen because our country is put in a kind of bondage whereby we are so weak that any small thing can provoke us. It is only in Kenya that you can give somebody 50 bob to kill somebody, and he does it without any battle of an eye.
Wow.
Bwana Bitok, tuko na keep squared hapa hivi, wacha aongee yake na yeye pia.
All right.
Yes, good morning Gerald, and wamesema beautiful lady aonekani hapa, so I would love to believe she's beautiful.
Nataka kumuona. Yuko hapa tusije kama ataonekana. Umemwona?
Gerald, tolea watu sura yako ngumu kwa kamera.
Acha tariwape tu muone Lucia for aesthetic value.
Revolution.
I definitely know Lucia, and so good morning Kenyans. When you go home, when you go America, it's good night. It's almost 4:30 p.m. In Sydney. So good to see you guys. Good. I saw your conversation yesterday and the previous day with an amazing economist, indeed. And Kishangani, is it Kishangani today or yesterday? You're doing well. You've started the new year with a bang.
Thank you, bro.
Yes. Yep. So, but I think talking about what the president said yesterday, look, it's now the cat is out of what? The hiding, or the so-called rat is out of the hiding. Well, now we know why the president is actually fronting the BBI. He said he will not hand over the power or the leadership of the country to, he said some words. I don't know who that is. Hopefully he will tell us. Unfortunately, he's not the one to hand power to people. We, the people of Kenya, will be the one to hand power to whoever will choose to be the next leader of our republic. Kwa hayo machache, I will yield the floor.
Wow.
Arama.
Yes.
Bado kuna watu wengine kwenye line.
Yeah, so it's an interesting period in our country, and sometimes we just have to laugh. Before I forget, I saw something, and I'm just going to minimize my screen here a little bit so that I can read it for you.
Okay.
That really captured the essence of the country. So this was a post about yesterday or the day before by a lady called Linda Ogutu. She said, borrowers blacklisted on CRB hit 14 million. And as usual, Kenyans, I love Kenyans with their sense of humor. So the next person, Opio Jr., said, we need a secretary general, party name, and a flag bearer. 14 million is enough to win 2020 elections. And right after that, a gentleman called DJ Opio, I'm just giving a shout out, he came up with a party name, United Defaulters Movement.
UDM.
And there we are.
It's never a dull moment in Kenya.
Yeah.
It's never a dull moment. I think we found a way to live with our problems.
Yes.
Anyway, proceed.
But in essence, these people captured actually the frustrations and the challenges we are facing in the country. When I looked at Lucia's video, and I'm like, really, does it have to come to this point? Someone actually has to blast you in public before you do your job? I mean, why? I don't understand it. But I go back to the same thing I always say every time. Kenyans, it is our chance. Can we take 2022 seriously? And please, can we get these guys out of office? Every single one of them. Just send them home. These people, all they do is protect their cronies and their friends, attempting to pass and backdate a retirement for people who are in office 19 kachini at wanapata retirement. You ask yourself, which job? Bwana Dean, are you paid sitting allowance when you go to the office every day?
No, there's no job we can do that.
Maybe he never sits. Maybe he's always standing.
I'm to say my classroom allowance. You are in class, I'm on a speaking allowance. Nothing like that. These people campaign. Yeah. They know the salary they are supposed to get. When they get in parliament, they make sure they're in 1, 2, or 3, or 4 committees. They are paid for each committee. On top of that, they give themselves even money for house allowance illegally that they are not supposed to have. They get paid salary, tax-free, while you, as a regular citizen, you are taxed. When I calculate the amount of taxes Kenya pay, the taxes is almost 60% of your pay. Ukienda kwa duka, unataxiwa. Ukinunua mafuta, tax. Ukiingia kwa gari ni tax. Everything is tax. Everywhere tax. But at the end of the day, you don't see anything that is benefiting you as a Kenyan from these taxes. People steal money. And what do? As long as you are singing the right song, everybody says you didn't do anything, you are sanitized. But the day you sing you dance to the wrong tune, then all your files, all of a sudden, they are found in DCI. People forget. And to me, it really pains me when I see, remember the Security Amendment Bill 2014 that was passed, where in this world that the police can arrest you and put you in jail for 30 days in the name of investigation?
Yeah.
30 days.
Using investigation as an arm.
Yeah, I mean, if you are arresting somebody, you have determined that this person has committed an offense. The next thing, should be a charge and brought to court so that they can determine, do you need a bail or not? But somebody holds you for 30 days. And they can even come and ask for an extension. Boss, na hiyo jealousy ati ni rahisi hapo, you lose weight in 2 days. You can die. So, I mean, now you talk of our leaders, mimi hata sijui, you saw, today I saw, it's as if these people are competing who is going to abuse the other person, the worst. You saw, I was talking to my friends here, and we were talking before we got on air. We were talking about Kalonzo Musyoka calling Mudarama some very nasty words. You know, man, he's a grown man. Why are you telling somebody that you're going to give his wife back? Jamani, and you want to be the president of this country? I mean, these are no things you speak in public.
Alisema aje tumalizana na yeye kwanza atakurudishia. Sasa sijui kumalizana ilikuwa gani.
The worst part, it's in a funeral. Jamani. I understand. If it's in a politics, yes, but a funeral, please, yeah, keep.
And that's the problem with misogynists. And
Yes.
and the problem with Kenyans are, we've for a long time, right, allowed these men, I'm a man, yes, but we've allowed these men to use women as punching bags in politics. For example, when Sabina Chege was against certain grouping, when the lady from, I think, Naivasha or any other place were against Tanga, people like President MP came and calling that lady names and even telling us with whom the ladies hired a kid with so and so. Who needs to hear that? This is a respectable elected member of parliament. Why don't we hear about issues or family issues about men? Who's attacking? You see now, this thing of handing over Mutama's wife, I think it's not only belittling the lady, it's absolutely disrespectful. You cannot just hand over as if that marriage ending was an easy thing. It's not just walk in the park where you allow, marriages to break down and then you purport you'll be giving back the wife. As who? So I think it's about time, actually, we as Kenyan people need to say enough is enough of this abuse of women and taking them as tools whom we can just hand over when we are done with it, especially those in politics. Because if we cannot defend those in politics, I wonder what happens in our homes. So I think that's why I interjected. Sorry.
Thank you.
That is very true, because the commodification and the thingification of a woman. Here is our old senator, and you talk as if they are your commodity. They have no agency or human action. This is now somebody I have. I will hand them to you, meaning they have no agency on their own. I think it is Kalonzo trying to come from being watermelon to another tough fruit or tough nuts, but boy, did it backfire. But again, Rama, you know that in the diaspora, the police stops you because they have seen something is wrong. Here, the police stop you and then cycles the car 4 times looking for what is wrong. That is a very different thinking of policing. You know that in the diaspora you are stopped because, do you know why I stopped you? No, I don't. You are speeding. I saw this mistake. You didn't turn. You didn't do this. So this thing of stopping somebody and then investigating them and
can you press your brakes?
Right, and doing their check, like car exam. Can you now step on the brakes? I see if there's something wrong. That has been extended to Sonko, as you are saying. Look at it. Prosecution cannot be a tool for investigation. You prosecute because you have investigated. Prosecution cannot be a tool for getting evidence. You get evidence and you prosecute somebody because you have already enough evidence. It's not let us just throw everything on the wall and use it, because that is very keen to those days of Moi, the sedition charges. Remember, the reason that now even the bail became a right was that during those time you could be detained without trial and on publishing seditious items that could involve anything. and then you stay there for 3-4 months. By the time you are declared innocent, my friend, you have stayed for very long. You know, you had the story of a deer running in the forest when he saw Kenya police, and when he's told, why are you running, he said, I'm running because they're looking for the donkey. And he was told, but obviously you are not,
you're not
the beast of the barrier. He said, you tell that to Kenya court, it will take 8 months for them to discover that I'm not a donkey, and I will have suffered. You know, and practicing law in the US, we had a preliminary hearing where the court do not continue until they find that the crime was done, and you are kind of in the mix. We have not said you are guilty. Otherwise, they don't waste your time. I still remember a very interesting case I had where the police stopped one of my client then, and they kind of had been informed the client is a mule and has carried drugs. So when they stopped the client, you know the rule. The rule is only what you can see in your clear view by the window. The police cannot say, I want to search the car, because that is right to privacy. You cannot search, which the bill that they brought, the security bill in Kenya, actually rolled back what we had in our constitution. So you cannot search the car. You can only talk of what you have seen in plain view. So they couldn't see the drugs, but they know there's drugs somewhere. They detained him, they stalled him. Meanwhile, guess what is coming? The canine. Within 9 minutes, the dog came, got into the car, and showed where the drug was. The police arrested the client. When we went to court, we were asking the court to quash this evidence. Why? You detained my client for 9 good minutes. 9 minutes. And you had no reason, because the Supreme Court of the United States have already pronounced that a routine police stop should not take more than 4 minutes. 4 minutes. But here, you detain my client for 9 minutes without probable cause. This is a fruit of rotten tree. And the court agreed with us and suppressed the evidence and said you had no reason detaining him for 9 minutes, waiting for the canine, because you had no probable cause. They were not defending the drug lord. They were defending the human dignity and the privacy. That no, if you suspect somebody has drugs, come and get a warrant. We'll give you a warrant to go search. But we cannot stretch the rules. We cannot keep stretching the rules. Then we don't have privacy. Then we don't have human dignity. Then at the end of the day, we know they are good cops, but they're also bad cops. We know you mean well, but sometimes you might not mean well. So here is a case where Sonko, the Anti-Terrorist Act, is being used, because once I put you under that, it has 30 days, 30 days to investigate. You have no iota of inkling. It is a fishing expedition. But meanwhile, in those 30 days, we have to have a one-on-one talk with you in the cell. You know, the more things change, the more they remain the same. And I was reading the tale of the two cities. The city where we have the 2010 Constitution, and the city where we have the impunity, where the president is saying, I will still guide extrajudicially. And I like a line. It was saying it was the best of times, but it was also the worst of time. It was the age of wisdom, but it was also the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair, but we had everything before us. We as Kenyans are also on a crossroad. We cannot just accept. Country have changed not because of good people. Country have changed because of dissent. And I like that the diaspora people are calling us off and encouraging us that we must speak up. Louis died 3 months ago, and he said, if you see something wrong, please speak up. Yeah, don't just, the way goats and sheep die, there's a hyena eating them, and they bury their head under each one's tummy until they are all eaten. And nobody can just say, how about if we all jump or kick this nini or hit him with our forehead? Then we can survive this hyena. No, each one as they are being eaten is trying to hide their head under another one's belly. At the end of the day, one hyena has killed 100 people. So we have a choice. Thanks.
You have a choice to speak out or not. As we talk to, before I come back to you, Raman Diaspora, throw it back to Lucia. Kwanza, congratulations Lucia. Nasikia tayari umeshapata sponsorship kutoka Governor Mutua. Amesema atawekea kwa mamilioni ya pesa. In fact, hatukai mbali na wewe. From the day onwards, Ojwang is your security. Mimi ni secretary.
Security, isn't it?
Mutua amesema is going to invest in Lucia.
You know, before Ayela, Nini, when I was a student in Indiana, there's this white guy who kept picking me, taking me out. Picking me, taking me out. There were two guys. So then I realized there's this same-sex thing. So I was asking them, let us be honest, why are you guys spending so much money in when you go places you want me in your company? You know, they told me, Bwana, let us be honest. You are dark, you are black, you are tall, you are a security. With you, nobody can mess with us. So that shows you that I have a profile to offer that security.
So you're not even aware that you are a security.
No, I was wondering why are these people being so nice? They said, one, you know,
you look like a threat.
Two white guy, people can mess with us. Oh boy, you are dark. Man, you are huge. Look at you. You are bad. You are bad all by yourself. So you are a security, one, and that is why we like you around us.
Dr. Ojwang reminds me of this song, Bad to the Bone. Bad to the bone.
Don't leave me alone.
Okay, anyway, so speaking of our president and him thinking that yeye ndio kusema, it goes against everything that our constitution advocates for. And it is very, very sad that we can get here, you know. We are simply headed the Tanzania way, the Uganda way. It's a very scary time for people who can comprehend what is going on. Presidential term limits are there to ensure no matter how bad a leadership is, it eventually comes to an end. But African leaders just don't understand what democracy actually means. They don't understand what leadership actually means. That's why our president akona hiyo gut ya kusimama na kuongea ni kama, you know, tuko kwa nyumba yake and we are offending him by just being there. And for me, it's the pretense. It's the hypocrisy that Mr. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta displays. The hypocrisy, it kills me. You know, someone said the best lie is the lie yenye ikona a sprinkle of some truth. If you weka kidogo truth in a lie, it's a very sweet lie, you know. Our president doesn't do that. Like manzaya anatudanganya na amekauka macho. He's looking at you straight in the eye and lying to you, and knowing that he's lying, and knowing that you know he knows he's lying.
You know, I know you're
lying.
You know, na anajua hakuna kitu mtadu, hakuna, I'll just go cry to mama and mama will make one phone call and y'all will be in trouble, like Mike Sonko.
What?
But then you see, akoka entitlement is what we need to strip him off, because he's not rightly entitled. This man has never struggled, he has never lacked, he does not know how to hustle. Hajui kufanya kazi. That's why his whole presidential term hakuna kazi amefanya, and then he wants to lie to us na websites Uhuru na kazi. Iko wapi hiyo kazi mse? Kazi umefanya peke yake ni kuongeza weight. Hakuna kazi ingine mimi naona umefanya. You know, legit, how is it that you've been president for 9 years and there's no tangible change? We have World Bank and IMF lying to us that our economy is growing, yet ni watu wa diaspora wanatuma hizo do. Where is that economy growing from?
Growing for who?
It's growing for who?
Yeah.
It's growing in a few people's pockets and backyards. We don't see it. You are a hardworking Kenyan. Wewe unafanya kazi mia. I saw my mother working hard for the City Council of Nairobi for over 32 years of her life. Alafu siku moja tu mtu aliamka akapita KEMSA na akapata tenda ya 20 billion. My mother, who has worked hard, has never made that kind of money. Her pension is not even a quarter of that. Alafu mtu umeamka tu, you walked by some place and you get something. And then the president foolishly says on national TV, usione simba amenyeshewa ukafikiria ni paka. Then he beats his chest and tells us he is in charge. Now, what is President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta in charge of? Corruption, disobedience to the rule of law. He is in charge of thieves. Mr. President, you are in charge of thieves and you have the law on your side to help you deal with these thieves, but you've decided to act stupid and do nothing about it other than beat your chest and tell us that you are in charge. You're not in charge. If 2 billion is being stolen every day, Mr. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, you are not in charge of anything in this country. Nothing at all other than thieves who you are protecting because you refuse to prosecute. So someone who hangs out with a thief is a what? Jijazie mwenyewe.
Ajijazie mwenyewe. Haya, basi raisi amesema ujijazie mwenyewe, Lucia amesema jijazie. But when he says in charge, I wonder what actually is in charge of. Anyway, we go back to diaspora. I think we had left out Robert Kobe. Robert Kobe, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still there.
I would like you to pick on the issues of the sometimes the issues that the Jubilee, the purge at Jubilee. Kuna jamaa amepoteza kazi juzi anaitwa Kangata. Ndio na jana Taifa Leo ilisema ni kosoyo ni kungate. And I mean, you wonder, the only crime that Kangata had was writing a letter to a president and telling him what the people are saying. If today Ojwang sends me to Eldoret and tells me I want to start a business there, nda kwanza kuuza njugu. Enda usikie watu wa Eldoret wanasemaje kuuza njugu. Ifika pale watu wanaambia sisi tunakunywa maziwa, hatukuli njugu hata siku moja. Kama unataka kutusaidia utuletee mbegu nyingine ya mahindi. And I come and tell Ojwang, these are the people have said. At what point did that become a crime? What are your thoughts on the Jubilee purge?
I think even before I even get into that, I will try to remind Lucia that when she said that the president probably has not even gone to a management class, I was wondering which school of law somebody like Kalonzo Musyoka went, because law is all about ethics, and whatever Kalonzo was doing was just defiling ethics. So all these politicians are on the same angle. Yes. And I'll bring this into perspective, that all these political parties are people's houses. It is the same way, Bitok, if I come to your house, you will not allow me to get to your bedroom unless I have the permission. So our political parties are not ideological parties. They are parties that will go. Kibaki went with PNU. ODM will go with Raila. Jubilee probably with Uhuru. Whatever is being fronted right now will come and go. We have never had political parties that are ideology where you can go in and say something that you feel will ruffle the feathers of the leadership of the party, but at least they can sit down and listen and follow. The idea of how, Bitok, the bread is usually sweeter on the buttered side. Ukipendusha kwa crust, when you unaona unangangana naye. When Kangata alikuwa nangatua mtu, little did he know that, you don't spit on a moving wind. People who live in glass houses should not throw stones. The same person alikuwa nenda kungatua, ndiye alikuja kumpokea akingatuliwa. So it is the game of it. Oh yeah, it is the musical chair game. So this is a game, hata matangi akiingia, atengeneze tu tangi yake. Juu hiyo tangi ikitoboka, itatolewa.
You are a
so that is the game. Yeah, that is the game that has been there. And that is why we are crying like diasporians. We are saying that we have seen how things work this other side. The last time I was in this show, I said, these MCAs should not come for benchmarking. Watupatie hiyo kazi. Tutawaandikia hizo policy paper, tutawapatia pictures. Right now, hata tunaweza wafanyia video na Zoom. Waone how things are working. Because we are just wasting money left, right, and center. I am even afraid whoever is going to take after Uhuru will have the biggest problem. Probably he will be seen as the biggest liar. Why? Because you're inheriting a coffer that is empty. But you have promised the electorates, a lot of things.
And you're actually
you know,
inheriting a constitution that tells you to give 35% to counties. Where do you get the money?
That is the same.
And the person who has given you that constitution never achieved a 15%. This person.
A 15%. Yeah. So you're supposed to come give 35 that is not there. And when you don't give them, then they will say, what? Unajua sasa, that's the biggest problem, because now in politics, if you come with a promise, you are nailed by it. And that is why people are branding people names, because of the promises that Jubilee made to their citizens. Their citizens are getting frustrated. When Obama was being elected to power, it was not all about that Obama was much better than any other president in America. People were just tired, and they felt like, let us give it a chance. That is why I usually have soft spot for somebody like Ekuru Okot. Maybe I would love Ekuru Okot as president, so that it can give us a different kind of perspective of how politicians can be. Because, Sisi, unajua, my grandmother told me, when you want to kill a frog na majimoto, you don't boil the water first. Ukitupa ndani itatoka nje. Weka na maji baridi, so that wakati inachemka itakuwa ikiruka both sides, ikifikiria huku ndio baridi, huku ndio, na hivyo ndio itakufa. That is the biggest problem.
Like inaanza ikisikia utamu kwanza. Ikisema the water is nice.
Inashangaa kwani imagine akaje. Anyway, with us Kenyans, it's all about what we are voting for. Tunatoka hapa, tunarukia hapa kwingine tukifikiria ni mzuri, tunarukia. Let us sit down and probably get a better way of analyzing what do we want, who can give us, how do we put them accountable of whatever they're giving us. Because our politics, ever since time immemorial, our politics has been 5 years, the last 2-3 months, unamwaga pesa mtaani, unaelektiwa, potea, ongea matope, rudi. That's it.
Right. Asante sana. Tukirudi kwa Arama, I don't know if you want to pick up on the same conversation on the Jubilee purge. Nimaliza na diaspora alafu nirudi hapa kwa panel. There is also mulikuwa maonana na Eric, CEO Maridadi. Eric is asking which state, acha nisome ujumbe directly. Anasema as Kenyans in diaspora, which state they would like us to visit and discuss with them ways they can invest better back at home. Arama, as we pick from there, tatuambia ni wapi ambapo tukikuja ama na biashara wa Kenya wakikuja pale diaspora, they can have a conversation with you on how to invest better back at home. Adiola Arama.
Anytime you come to US, my house is available for you.
Anauliza which state you are not coming to sleep.
Alabama.
Alabama. Hapo ndio kuna Wakenya wengi?
Hapana. Wakenya wengi wako Atlanta, ukienda Dallas, of course Minnesota, St. Paul, Wakenya ni wengi, DC, there's some Kenyans there. Ukienda Massachusetts, not Detroit. Why am I saying Detroit? I'm trying to remember the city in Massachusetts. Ukienda Washington, Maryland, Washington State, ukienda Seattle, there are many states that have a lot of Kenyans. It just depends. City. Yes, Kansas City.
Yes, yeah, Fort Missouri and Kansas, yeah.
So where would you want these entrepreneurs to come to if they were coming to have a discussion with Kenyans who would want to invest back at home?
I think the best thing will be to do like investment forum. So that you go to one specific city, we do the advertisement, and then people can come and then attend the forum there.
All right, I think
that will be the easiest thing. Yes,
we will have a side chat then, the three of us with all of us, the five of us with Eric Mwangi, so that we can see if we can find the best way to work forward.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So, hii mambo ya Kangata, I don't even, my sentiments will always still remain the same. Unfortunately for him, he was given an assignment, he didn't do it. He went to talk something else. Because you can't put your boss unamwandikia unasema Mr. King, you are naked in public. He's going to kick you out even if he's naked. Ulisikia wapi?
So when you see him naked, you tell him, don't worry, King, you're well dressed.
You have the best.
You have the best
exactly.
suit. Even if you're seeing if apparatus is hanging.
Yes. So
unamwambia atoe shati akiwa ana longi ongeza
hata kama ana shati unamwambia atoe shati.
Hata wewe unatoa
that's the unfortunate part. But like Robert said and people have said this, our parties are not parties, they are personal properties. When somebody comes and tells you the party leader has the authority to do whatever he wants and his instructions is what we follow. these people had opportunities to make changes that are going to help Kenyans when they were in office. They didn't. And I think, Banabitok, one of these days, maybe you may need to bring some of these guys to the tackle so that we can really tackle them, you know. Tutaenda kufanya mazoezi ile tunaita hapa inaitwa wanaita football. Ile mtu anakugonga kama rugby.
Mniambie ni nani mnataka? Mniambie ni kana nani mnataka ndawalete?
To be honest, just get one from each side. Bring them here because for us we want to challenge them and say you are making a lot of noise out there. What have you done in parliament? Give me one thing you have done that will so that I can say okay, whatever noise you are making you are justified. Because when you had an opportunity, you didn't do anything. Ukienda the other side, what your handshake, you were outside making a lot of noise criticizing the government, but now when you had an opportunity to make changes and influence the changes, you forgot. You have selective amnesia. Now, there's one pet peeve that I want to suggest, maybe kama BBI vile haifanye maneno, maybe we need to start our own. There's one word that I want us to get rid of from the president and the deputy. It is one word that says, His Excellence. These are human beings. They are not excellent in anything. And they will never be.
They're not honorable either.
Yeah, I mean, honorable. Now, one thing that I learned is they can be called honorable when they're in parliament. Once they're outside here, they are Mr. Period. We shouldn't call them honorable outside parliament. You know, once they're in parliament, yes, decorum dictates, we call them that. Just the same thing as a judge. When you go to court, you call him judge. Akiwa hapa inje, he's a Mr. or Mrs., just like anybody else. You know, unless they have another title of a doctor or anything, then we can accord them that. But when you are not within your setting, we should not call you that. Maybe that might dismissify the office of the president, because unajua mtu akikuita His Excellence ni kama vile watu wanasemanga king, may you live forever. He's a human being, he can't live forever. He's going to die one day.
We actually sang for Moi and said, Baba, Moi, Kenya, Adaima Milele, Tawala.
Which were great songs anyway, you know, we remember them. But for Kangata and Wamatangi and everybody else who has had the misfortune, the only person I can advise them to go and talk to who can help them to know how to meander the ways of sticking to the party, ni mzee anaitwa JJ Kamodo. They need to go and seek advice from that guy.
He's
that
gone,
guy
huh?
Survived
He's
everything.
gone.
Yeah?
The guy is gone, huh? He's gone.
Oh, he died. I'm sorry.
He left us, man.
I'm sorry.
He wanted.
Okay, they can learn. Okay. Let me put it this way: they can learn from what he did. That guy was he sang every day. Baba ni wewe kutoka juzi na jana na kila siku. That's how you are put in a position as a leader. If you are going to make noise to the owner of the property, my friend, be ready to be kicked out. Wow. But at the same time, can you be a good leader? Because if today we had said Irungu Kangata was kicked out because he went to say we are not accepting the 250,000 house allowance until you pay the doctors and the nurses, I can assure you, Kenyans will be on the street right now saying you need to reinstate Kangata back to his position as a majority whip. But because he did not say anything or support anything that will help a Kenyan in their desperate need, akitolewa tunasema, well, alikula yake, wacha atoke sasa. You know? That's the unfortunate thing is we need to start, and the only way we can get these people understand is to challenge them each and every day. One of the things that I remember the previous election, and something that really disturbed me a lot, is I was watching Larry Madowo. He was interviewing some of the people, and Senator Murkomen said something that was very disturbing to me. He's made that statement. He said, "Oh, politicians are the people who have sacrificed a lot." But the previous week, or a month before, there were soldiers who died in Somalia. Kenyans. Sasa wewe, what did you sacrifice as a politician to a Kenyan soldier who was in the desert? Na wengine uliona walipigwa picha, the death, they were wearing slippers. How can a soldier be wearing slippers in war? And then you tell me you sacrifice a lot than that guy? That's ridiculous. And that's where we lose it.
It's an insult, actually.
It's an insult.
Yes.
We lose our priorities because we forget who is people who are sacrificing. Our nurses, our doctors, lab technicians are sacrificing right now. The COVID virus that is killing people, millions. You don't pay them. Well, on top of that, add insult, you don't even pay them on time. Hata ile kidogo unawapatia, you don't pay them. And then, you saw where they are coming out from the hospital at night. Polisi anawapata wamevaa uniform, you see they are from the hospital.
They clobber them.
You beat them and put them in jail. Ati wamekiuka nini ya curfew ya COVID. Really? These are people you're supposed to even escort them. Hao ndio watu sasa mnapatia ile escort ya polisi. You clear the road for them to go home so that they can go and sleep and come back to work. But you are beating them. We are losing our priorities, and to me it's very unfortunate that until we recognize the people who are actually making a difference in our country and we start championing those people, then we're in trouble. So I see Kip, and I know I'm gonna let me give him a chance to say something.
All right, Kip.
Yes, on the Kangata patch, right? I think we saw from time immemorial that President Uhuru Kenyatta is a dictator in the making. We saw that when he started warning the CJ, and actually he carried away or he at least fulfilled that threat, but not sending money to that part of government. Remember, we have 3 branches of government. And the problem with Kenyans are we somehow see the executive as if it's the only branch of government that has a better say or that has more weight when it comes to leadership in the country. And so once the president is actually ignoring, or his government is not heeding to the calls that, were coming from the Department of Department of Judiciary, we have a problem. We saw that problem from the time in the beginning. Now, what happened to freedom of association? That's guaranteed in our constitution. What happened to expression and association? I think what happened with Jubilee Party Manifesto and Constitution, and let me remind them, they have a constitution that's 112 pages.
Yes.
Let me also remind them, they have 34 articles in that constitution. Disciplinary actions is also in that constitution. If they had followed that, then we would know that this is a government that follows the rules. But of course, if they cannot follow something that's coming from the judiciary, how then do we expect them to follow the rules of their own party? Now, I think from the school of thought that we shouldn't celebrate when Kangata is being Kangated. Yes, he was part of those who are doing the wrong thing. But, when you love those who have done the wrong thing, actually they tend to change. Hopefully he will change for good, and he will learn to defend the rights of every individual Kenyan. That's how we learn. The other problem is, you talked of something to do with the people and funding. The president were addressing people as if, and it's crowded. Not only the president, Raila Odinga is doing, William Ruto is doing it, any other politician is doing it. They're addressing people as if COVID-19 is gone. Those meetings are super spreaders. We also we have police harassing people at night with the so-called curfew. You are arresting people as if COVID-19 in Atembea at night, catching on people. COVID-19 spread when people are within, small confined space. These campaigns are done within small confined space. A lot of people are no longer actually wearing masks. Some actually are shaking hands and hugging and doing all manner of things. I think our country should change, but more importantly, our people should actually take care of themselves. The problem is when you expect the government to take care of you when you know for sure you'll be the one to suffer. In this country alone, right, where I live, there were only 2 cases of COVID-19 and the entire city was locked down. I was here for 14 days because I went shopping in one shop here. It happened that shop, whoever was serving in the shop had COVID-19, but I was locked in, and then you get money for food and to pay rent. Kenyan government, my friend, you will die. And nobody will come to that barrier. So it's so unfortunate.
No, they'll come for politics.
Before we talk, you take the mantle.
Yeah,
I just want to remind people that we are blaming the president for nothing. We don't have politicians who have ball. These politicians can bring that government down even today. If all those politicians, if all those MPs decide to resign today, if all those ministers decide to resign today, that president is going to be a lame duck. He's not going to do anything. The country will come to a standstill and things will be changed. But when we work with the people who are lukewarm, wanakaa kama mapanya, wanakula wakipuliza. They want to draw all these favors, na nini, alafu all of a sudden, they are crying on this other end. For them, their life is going on well. Their kids are eating very well. This common mwananchi is not getting anything. So let us not blame the president. The president came with a combat battalion. These people can decide to make a left turn when the president is making a right turn, and president peke yake hawezi fanya kazi yote. Unaona? So the president has the audacity to be a dictator because he has people who are just eating with him there.
You've given him the space. Okay. All right. Aside that, the issue, we come back here to the studio. The MCAs in Kisumu, Siaya, and Kisumu County Assemblies, where my good friend Ojwang comes from. These guys have gone ahead to approve the BBI bills in the assemblies. No public participation. No, I mean, there's nothing. They said, we have brought it, okay, we've said yes, and that is it. I wonder if these guys even read the document. I saw the other day Baba was in Nyanza for the BBI convention, and he was telling the Nyansarites that, guys, don't worry, there was a small mistake in printing. Don't buy the propaganda that there are no added constituencies in Nyanza in the BBI. Kulikuwa na makosa kidogo kwa printing, lakini ziko added constituencies, I think 5. Where is the place of the mwananchi in all this discussion? The bills have gone ahead and it has been approved. Ojwang, what's your feeling on that?
You don't want my feeling, you want my thinking.
What's your opinion?
We don't feel, we think.
Okay, I got that on your feeling. Okay, give me your thinking and your opinion.
Yes. Of course, right now, the president and former prime minister, as Okwonko will put it, the people with the yam and the knife. You know, when you have the
there are 2 Okonkos. You know, can Steve, there's no one Okonko or Tambula.
The
real Okonko.
The other ones might be a counterfeit. So somebody with the yam and the knife. When somebody has the yam and have the knife, then they're the ones who determine how much do I cut for Lucia here. Come on, Lucia, smile for me, then I add you another piece. How much do I give or deprive the talk? Because they are holding in their hands both the yam which you want to eat and the knife. And that is the inducement, that is the car grant, isn't it? Yeah. That is part of the yam and the knife. That is the counties that are raised to the bottom. I must be the first one. It's a race to the bottom because I weep for our future. When I look at the BBI, even from economic perspective, it has tea and coffee, but nothing about fish. Our fish are still processed in thika.
And actually, the most funny thing, just to interrupt you, Ojwang, was the Nyanza guys coming and saying, telling the central guys, this thing is about you.
It's for you.
It's not even for us.
I'm doing it.
What you're telling is, we are doing it for you. We are making this sacrifice for you.
Yeah, with love.
Anyway, continue.
Lakini those people, when it's being done for them, si wamekataa. Ground imekataa.
Yeah, no, they're not buying it.
Continue your thoughts,
Ojwang. But unajua, saa zingine mgonjwa anaweza lasimishwa na dawa kidogo. Inaweza kuwa IV or there's force feeding. So imagine there's tea in that BBI, there's coffee in that BBI, there's no fees in that BBI. Meanwhile, we call each other a man from the lake. The lake has become a swimming pool. The fish stock is down. You have seen it on news.
Yeah. And
nobody's talking of restocking our lake again.
Fish.
So there's no fish. It is a mere swimming pool. Meanwhile, they can meet and say Jokanyanam, sons of the lake, without fish. Jokanyanam. We are people from the lake. The lake without?
Now they should say we are people from the swimming pool.
Right. From the deep end and shallow end. Because there's no fish anymore. So it is sad. It's an anticlimax. But again, I think BBI will pass. Somehow, I've seen this. I've watched this country enough to see that a lot of people don't care. If an MCA don't care, and this is the people representative, why would Wanjiku care? But that question can be asked the other way. Because the MCA don't care, that is why you should care as Wanjiku. But again, think about it as I conclude. Of course, President is showing a lot of hustle anxiety. Hustle anxiety are everything that people do because they are anxious about the hustler narrative. So he's showing a lot of hustle anxiety. It started with the vocabulary. Then he was reminded, but the word Juakali was actually a word that was describing people who are in informal work and working under a bad condition, and there was no problem then. So because we have diaspora, I like something going on in diaspora, which is people, because you see Bitok, why you call us here is not just to lament. Everybody can see problems. I think we should be more interested in solutions. And that solution, to me, I look at the Robin Hood movement in the US that is currently there. I don't know whether you guys are aware. That the poor people looked at the stock market, the Wall Street, and looked at that stock which was almost becoming the business that was getting bankrupt, the lowest ranked stock, and they moved and bought them. And all the rich people are very mad now because in their speculation and their investment, they had invested in the high-ranking stocks. But the poor moved and bought together the very low-ranked stock, made it the highest selling. Before the rich know it, it is now very expensive. They can sell it for a lot of money. They are keeping it. And the rich are now saying the rule is rigged. This is not how it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to be rich and be richer and richer. Because you see, these rich people don't do anything. You just take money and move them between stocks. Yeah. How hard is that? And so you have a financial director, you have a broker who tells you now this is the way to go, take your stock from here, buy here. And boy, were they wrong. Because the people, the Wanjikus there, the Macmillan, the poor, read the whatever, and there was an app in the stock market where you can easily download and buy any amount of stock. They came together. So now they are wondering, should we call it insider trading? But these are not insider, these are outsiders. Should we say it is illegal? But it's not illegal for people who are whatever to say, let us all go and buy stock in this lowest one. That is revolution. I mean, it gives me a lot of hope that we need to be innovative and stop just being bitter. We have articulated our problems long enough. We have been in storm long enough. We need to innovate just like that movement. And when you know Robin Hood, they call themselves. Robin Hood is a mythical feature in Britain that lived in a time like we live in Kenya today. Robin Hood was a person who looked at the judicial, legal, and any system in the Britain which had collapsed. The rich were getting richer, the poor
were getting poor.
Yes. So you know what Robin Hood did? Robin Hood started robbing the rich. And giving it.
He lived up to his name. Robin started robbing.
Yes, and giving it to the poor. He doesn't take it because he realized the rich go to court. There is no action. They keep their wealth. Slap on the wrist, bad boy, don't stay like this. And so he said, forget this. I am going to be a system by myself. So he will waylay the rich. He will take their wealth, not to his house, to the poor, and say, here is what they have stolen from you. So this Robin Hood movement, I saw how the world stood in Floyd killing. The world, I mean, this small Uhuru problem, I don't know, hustler problem here and there, the impunity, the kind of whatever. If politicians are the problem, they cannot be our solutions.
Sure.
I like people like Ichungwa, but if the politicians are the problem, they cannot turn to be what? You cannot be the disease and the medicine at the same time. The politicians will never be solutions to this country. Who is the solution? You dare ask? You are looking at one.
I think I like the Robin Hood movement. That is real devolution. I think that's real devolution. That is devolution. That is real devolution.
It's actually trending right now. Biden, as conservative, as pro-poor as he was, they are now looking at Congress and how to fix. First, they remove all those up. Now you have to go to Wall Street and to buy the stock. It's not easy to buy. But they're saying, what is illegal here? But they changed the rules of the game. They studied the game and said, no, you ain't. This is not how you are going to proceed. You are not going to be robbing us back and forth, moving your money between stock. They went for the lowest, which was almost zero. And they took their small welfare money, they took their small stimulus money that they were given to survive, and they say instead of buying shoes, instead of buying, going to saloon, that is what most of the minority do, and spending $300 in an Asian Air, we are going to buy stocks in this lowest stock. People bought $200, $300, $1,000. Those stocks after fortnight, of course, you know what? They lie to us, the force of the market, isn't it? Buyer, seller, and the market forces. Now when a lot of money is trooped to the small market, to the small stock and the useless stock actually, these people were already bankrupt. It skyrocketed, they took the business, and now they are running Wall Street. There is hope. So we need to, but our problem is we think politics, we sleep politics, and we continue expecting the politicians, asking them, when are you going to come for me? It is high time we know that you have you.
Only you.
And that's all what you need. You got you. Yeah. If I have me, I don't need system. I'm bad enough. Don't get me started. I have me.
I got me. Bad boy. Anyway, Lucia. So these guys are making it a threat. They are making it a threat real that we are going to give you this BBI thing like, like quinine drug, like malaria drug. They're making it real. And the counties are, they are head over heels trying to be the first ones. They're competing to be the first ones to pass the BBI report. Started from Nyanza region. We've never seen any public participation happening because I believe the constitution belongs to the people. It's our document. It's not the document of the political class. It doesn't belong to the MCAs. I mean, there's nothing that gives them the mandate to decide for us what is good for us. I mean, Ojwang said I should not ask for feelings, so I will ask for your opinions and your thoughts.
You see,
maybe I should have asked for your feelings. Anyway, all right, proceed.
I think I'll give you both.
Okay.
The fact that it has taken a car grant in order for this BBI to be passed just shows you there's nothing good for us there. Because if it was really pro-people, it wouldn't be forced down our throats. Actually, if it was pro-people, it would have come from us as a popular initiative. It's not a popular initiative. I am actually so exhausted. I think the BBI narrative is a very exhausted narrative. It's a useless document. It's a plagiarized constitution. It does not have a place in this country. It does not have a function in this country. There's no point in us talking about it. And I believe Kenyans are really woke to this thing. They are really woke to the BBI. Because first and foremost, hakuna mtu ametupatia economic blueprint of how that is going to happen. And then those of us who really have problems, unaniambia unanipea 7-year tax holiday when I cannot even register the business itself. So how are you helping me? And then someone who's on payroll gets a car grant kwa sababu akipanda matatu atakufa. You know, it's just it beats me. It beats me. And I see learned people like James Orengo and Otiende Amol, and I'm just no, my people. Like it shouldn't be like that. I really don't know whether the leadership understands that we are seeing behind the lie. I don't know if they understand that. Because as much as they're trying to force their way, imekata, like gag reflex imekata tu kumeza hiyo malaria queen manze. We are just throwing it back. And trust you me, if they force us to a referendum, that no is going to be so loud and it's going to be so disgusting on them, worse than mlevi kukutapikia. Because we are going to throw that pill back up. Tutaitapika. Tutaitapika vizuri sana.
Sijatapikiwa na mlevi bado. So sijui. Watu wa diaspora, where is the position of the mwananchi? Amen. The county assemblies are, you know, they are breaking their legs trying to be the first ones to please the proprietors, because it's a business, the proprietors of BBI.
Ni kama bitoka metu.
Haya zungumza.
Umetunyonga?
Pole kama again. Pull up select.
Okay, I like the way Dr. Ojwang has put it. We have lamented for quite a while. We now need to come up with solutions. And he came up with a very good, I am a beneficiary of the Robin Hood stock. So what really happened is these hedge fund managers walikuwa wanafanya kitu inaitwa shorting. So they look at those businesses that are dying, their stock are going down, and then they give them a raw deal. So you know the tectonics of economics is supply and demand. So when people saw that, they said, okay, mnajifanya mnajua. So these people came in and started buying this stock. And you know the economics say that when the demand is high, the supply iko chini, the price goes high. Unaona? And that is how they ballooned the price. When they ballooned the price, these people came back, because the art of shorting is you take a stock on a loan, and then wait for that stock to fall down, and then come back, sell that stock at a profit, and return the money. Wow. So by the time they were returning that money, they were losing, because these people had short the stock high, and they were supposed to pay the price. So they were losing money. So that's why ulipata hedge funds, those rich people were crying that they're losing money. And they went to the SEC. SEC told, no, it's a fair game. These guys are scoring in a fair manner. Na VR ikaangalia ikaona hakuna makosa. But now they went around na wakaangalia wakaanza sasa kuumiza hao watu wenye walikuwa na run hiyo biashara, because a lot of hedge funds managers lost a lot of money. The car grant thing is, I've still said, in Kenya the politics is the same. But it is the same thing wananchi are being it's the same way wananchi are being lured. Sai enda Kabuchai, money is being poured left, right, and center because there's a by-election. Enda Matungu, that is the same thing. People will eat. Even the president said when there was a by-election in Kibera that somebody called him and told him how the business was booming when elections were. That is the trend of the game. What I'm saying right now, the same way the Robin Hood actually walichapa Wall Street, is the same thing that we need as individuals, as Kenyans, to come up with a solution. What is our fallback plan? Because we will get rid of Uhuru, comes another person and atufanyia the same thing, get rid of him, tunaenda hivyo, we are not growing young, we are growing old. Where is our generation going to? Right now, look at recruitments. I am telling you, I usually associate with Baringo because I've lived in Baringo for the better part of my life. Recruitment, unajua, when I used to live in Baringo, people never used to go for recruitment ya police, AP. They used to go to ya jeshi peke yake because they assumed that was a better kind of recruitment. Siku hizi hata NYS, you find more than 10,000 youths. Wanasemanga hata, yani, when people are going for recruitment, inajaa kushinda hata rally ya KANU. Unaona? So, most
do you have to use KANU?
No, it's a saying. So my biggest problem, when I look at those people going to look for those jobs, now unapata 6,000 people are only looking for 10 recruitment posts. All those people have children. All those children have fathers who are supposed to feed them. That is a generation. Where is it going to? So when I see the whatever these people being given car grant, it is the same system. They are using the same. That is why I say, why don't they say atutaki car grant to make a BBI, atutaki BBI, but they can be lured now. That is why this quinine will just be drained down our throats, tupende tusipende, and the system is the same. Unajua tukifanya Robin Hood Kenya saizi, watu watapiga tu rivers huko nyuma, na they take charge of the system, na watupige nje. So if the system is not tangible enough, then even an alternative is just useless.
Okay. All right. I'll take you to keep alafu we go to Arama. Keep. Tunakunywa kama queen.
Yes, I think I think Kipicho said it well. Whether you like it or not, I know Lucia doesn't like it. She said she'll form it. We will wait and see. But it looks like just like they did with Uduma number. You all screamed and wailed, and guess what? You took it. I'm the only Kenyan who didn't take Uduma number, and I'm very proud of that. Oh well.
Mimi niko na slip, poleni kidogo, niko na slip.
Remember also they also forced us to change the passport. They've been moving deadlines every year. I guess next time it will be after 2022. But I understand, of course, that's something that's globally, mandated, and I understand the reasons for that. But that aside, I mean, you see the Kenyan government keep changing. Now, when it comes to car grants, I think I'm from a different school of thought. Now, I think for me, I give credit where it's due, and you give people what they deserve. Members of parliament, they get car grants. They are serving the people if they were really serving the people, quote unquote. Now, MCS also deserve car grants, but the way it was given is questionable. These are the people who actually interact with normal mwananchi on the ground. They actually need a car more than a member of parliament. Member of parliament is getting 7 million every year. I wonder these cars in Aripika every year. I've owned mine for the last 3 years, so I don't get it. Now, when it comes to this one of MCS, I hear it's 2 million, and it looks like it's going to be every year. Now, that's 10 million. We have a lot of kids who are not going to school from poor families. That 2 million would put school 100 kids every year. I think if I was an MCA from somewhere in Kenya, that would be the money. I would put it somewhere else. You have to be creative when it comes to this government. I'm sure these MCAs already have cars. Yes, it's good to have something that supports your job. It's what your duty calls. But I think the way the president pushed it to Kenyans, or used that as a bait, we should not be doing baiting anymore. If really, like Lucia said, this BBI is something good, even I, Kipchumba, would be running around telling Kenyans, let's vote for this thing to pass. It looks like it stinks from afar, even here in diaspora. We smell it.
Okay. All right. Arama.
Yes.
The MCAs are running over their feet to approve the document without even public participation, without any formal protocol.
Let me try and look at it from the bright side. Maybe they are deliberately sabotaging the whole thing, because then somebody will go to court and challenge and say there was no public participation, therefore no referendum. That's my school of thought.
Could be. Ojwang will take us in the legal.
Ojwang, prepare your petition kwa kotini alafu tupe kitu nje before it goes anywhere. But it's indicative of who we are. Yeah? Because I saw somebody took a screenshot of all the county assemblies in central Kenya. Every one of them has put a gazette notice of public participation for 2 days. So theoretically, they are meeting the requirement. And by this trend, tumepiga kelele sana, itafika siku ya kura watu waseme, hata hii kitu nimechoka, wanatulazimisha tu usieni kupiga kura. I hope not. But that's a possibility based on what we are seeing now. But we as the people have to decide what we want. And I remember growing up, in our place, it rained. Nowadays it doesn't, but it used to rain from January to December. Every day was rain. But then in Afika Mahali, I remember we had tea leaves. And our tea leaves ilikuwa inapelekwa Kericho kwa tea factory. You know what we used to do? We used to escort the rolling with tea leaves all the way to the main road kwa Lambi. Unachimba mtaro, unakwamua roli mpaka ifike kwa barabara, because we knew that's the source of income. So until us as Kenyans decide this is our country and we want our country to move in a certain direction, and we put our hands into it and say, you know what, wewe MCA ulipewa grant yako ya milioni 2, okay, next time we don't want you, we'll put somebody else. And we are giving you a warning. If you don't do one, give all these politicians a social contract. If you do this, we are going to return you, no question. If you don't, we will get you out. And there is one thing that I cry every day that we have not used, that we have a provision for. It is called a recall. We don't have to wait for their full time. Recall these people out quickly, and you will see how fast they are going to act and do what they are supposed to do. But until we make it personal, I said my theory is when we will start, mutaanza kununua shukari kilo moja 2,000, maybe then you will stand up and say, hey, enough is enough. And run and challenge things. We have been brought to that position in so many other instances. Moi's regime, people went on the streets. When we wanted the new constitution, people came out in large numbers and said, this is what we want. This thing has a good hope for us. Let's go ahead and make those changes. Now is the reverse. We are trying to make some amendments that there is no benefit, there is no upside of the whole document. So maybe it's time now to teach everybody a lesson and say, you know what? We don't want this. And even you who is opposing it, if you're just opposing to get political mileage, guess what? We are not going to elect you back into office with this kind of nonsense. If we get to that position and hold people accountable, then we'll be in a better place. But as long as we continue accepting the 50 shillings sukari, because, I was talking about the funeral in Kisii, and I said, the people who are yelling and heckling other people, wewe mwanaume mzima ama mama mzima ulitoka kwako nyumbani ukavaa suti yako ile ya whatever how many years clean, nguo yako ya kanisa atunaenda matanga kwa mtu, to go and yell at somebody else because somebody gave you 500 shillings. And I ask myself, are you worth only 500 shillings your entire day? Is that how much you are worth? If we get to a place where you value yourself and say, hey boss, hiyo 500 umenipatia, hata sitoki, I will go. If I'm supposed to come there so that I can get my 500, I will show up. I get my 500 and I go back home. Mimi 500 yangu nimeweka kwa mfuko because you are giving me 500, where ulipewa more than that, which means you are going to give more money to yourself. We get to that position where we stand up for what is right. Then we'll have a better country. Okay. But as long as we continue with this normal process, like Robert said, itakuwa tu changing every time. Unaenda unanunua spare tire ambayo ni used tire, una drive 20 kilometers, then unanunua ingine. Same thing. You don't learn. Instead of going and buy a brand new tire and put it so that it can take you longer, you keep on spending small money. By the end of it all, you spend 3 times the price you could have bought a brand new tire that would have lasted you for a longer time.
Okay.
That's my view. And Kenyans, like Ojwang said, we need to start coming up with solutions. And I'm just going to throw a challenge to you, Bitok. If you can get maybe Murkomen and Orengo to this group, we challenge.
I can pull them. I can pull them in. I can pull them in anytime.
Yeah,
I
from
can.
both
I'll talk
sides.
to them.
Let's bring them here and challenge, because I have questions to them. You know, Orengo, we respect you, but what have you done for us? What have you done for the people to improve people's lives, and what legislation have you passed that will help us? You warn other people about government eating its own people, but now when you are given a chance to make a difference, you forgot about the same advice you gave to other people. So we need to bring these people here and make them see, we see what you're doing and you need to change it.
He's now eating the government.
He's now eating with the government.
The whole government.
The whole government. All right, lastly, guys, there's been conversation that we've been having, and it's quite interesting that even this conversation is coming up in diaspora, because I think there's no difference with what we're having today here as the Hustler narrative and the Robin Hood movement back in the US. And there's someone who has made a comment, who says the story in the US of hustlers who ganged up on Tinder and stock-shorted game shop hedge funds. Quite interesting. So, I mean, there's the issue of bottom-up economics and top-bottom economics, the things that we have in our conversation. And these are some of the topics that been given by the diaspora guys. Bottom-up economics or top-down economics, which one actually works? I mean, we've talked about the big people for a long time. Like, let's work on the top, then the downside will fix itself. Is it time we started talking about the bottom and the bottom fixing the up? Ojwang, since you have become a proponent of Robin Hood revolution.
Right, Robin Hood is somebody, a character I like, just like I like Fanon, Fatu, and all those people who are led change from the bottom.
And just to put more perspective into it, you've talked about the reaction from the U.S. government on the Robin Hood thing. You're saying that they are saying, guys, I mean, we need to term this even at the Congress. Even right now, when you're having that conversation, even that you're having that conversation back in the country, they're saying this is divisive. We need to make it illegal. The poor people should not know that they're poor. I mean, is bottom economics divisive?
Yeah, it is a narrative they cannot control. Therefore, it's scary, and that's what gives you an anxiety. When people have class consciousness, they become dangerous. When somebody realizes, by the way, I'm not doing so good. No, it's true that they have been taking from me a little here and a little there, because that forces you to do something. And so what we are having is not even a language war, but a real war of hiding in language, that the poor and those who have been downtrodden and those who have been left behind, because the whole human right has been about emancipation, about articulating your right and articulating that, you cannot ignore me. Human right abuse take place in invisibility. Once I've made you invisible, then I control the narrative. Then you are not there. You don't exist. And so if we don't talk about the poor, they don't exist. But if we talk about the poor, leave alone the poor is demanding talk about me, then we cannot ignore them, and that is not a situation we want to be. And I think that that is why others have even mounted criminalizing those words, like hustler. And this is a political problem, but when the only tool you have is hammer, everything become a nail. So let us criminalize them. Nobody can talk about it. But I think that the revolution of a better, or articulation of a better world where, as Ayela was saying, Africa is rising, who is rising?
It's rising for who?
Yes, for whom? Development cannot just be infrastructure, mall, and whatever, yet we don't have money to spend in those malls. We don't have money to run on those roads. If today there was a tender, Bitok, in your village, it will require somebody to come with a warranty or a letter of credit worth 100 million. How many people can show that? So all this development and this project are only done by a few people. Will it be robbery if you came to Homa Bay, my place, and said everybody put money for 1 kilometer of a road? Then we can, now I don't look for 100 million, I look for 1 million or whatever, and we all build 1 kilometer, then I get 1.5 million. Do you know what you will have done for me in that village? At the end of the day, I will not have just remained with the road, but the money has remained in the village. That means I have money to build a house in that village. I can put a car on that road. I can have money to run on that tarmac. But what do we have? It is infrastructure. The money goes to India, the money goes to China, the money goes to a few people in Nairobi. Whenever tender is called, it is fait accompli. You know that the people who have tender are people who can afford 100 million. How many people can afford 100 million? Then why can't we break it? And by the way, these are not things I'm shooting from the hip. Britain went as far as changing their laws, so that in Britain, people can pull together for tenders. Almost the Robin Hood ideas. You can say, we can have 100 people to say, let us put small money, and we get this tender and do it. It doesn't have to be one big fat cut that can afford it. We can all put it. Now, when you are asking me the bottom up is the way to go. Because you see, sometimes the person who abuses us is the person who gives us those words. Fourth revolution, Africa rising. After they have abused you so that you can sleep through the abuse, it is a lullaby, isn't it?
So I feel good about your side.
Yes, Africa
it's a feel-good effect.
Africa, our GDP. You know, I remember the reason Obama beat McCain was, as McCain was looking at those numbers, Obama simply said, ask Americans, is the economy good? And all of them, or most of them, said, the reality is, it's not. Because, I forget your numbers. What am I feeling? When I go to a supermarket with 5,000, am I getting more into the basket or less? When I go and buy gas for 100 or for 1,000, how far do I go? So it does not matter the spin. It does not matter. By the way, all these big companies that cite us and we are so excited, World Bank and whatever, World Bank rose from University of Chicago, the thinkers. World Bank, who is World Bank enriching? Is it the poor country or the rich countries? Who is IMF really enriching? Is it the poor country or the rich countries? It is actually the rich that are getting rich. So there is horizontal and vertical inequality that we must be addressed. Finally, I think when I look at what is happening in Kenya, you know, there is a time Mutua used to give us T-shirts and tell us, I'm proud of being a Kenyan. But by the time you are asking me to adore in Kenyan flag, the flag is not in my heart. And you have, the society is one conspiracy against me. You are simply trying to underrate my intelligence. So before you tell me fellow Kenyans, Kwanzaa, I don't like that word with politicians. We are not fellow. We are not on the same boat. We are on two different boats. One boat is riding us to destruction. I am on another boat where I'm suffering. You are. So there is no fellow Kenyans.
We are not fellows.
You talk to the fellow. But let me finish by reminding you of a very important poem if you missed your education.
What are you trying to suggest?
If the key word is if. The poem of building the nation. Remember it. We had cited it before I listened.
Yes.
Today I did my share in building the nation. I drove a PS to an important urgent function. In fact, a luncheon at the Vic. The menu reflected its importance. Cold beer with small talk, then fried chicken with niceties, wine to fill the hollowness of the laughs, ice cream to cover the stereotype jokes, coffee to keep the PS awake on return journey. I drove the permanent secretary back. He yawned many times in the back of the car. Did you have any lunch, friend? I replied, looking straight ahead and secretly smiling at his belated concern, that I had not, but was smiling. Upon which he said with a seriousness that amused more than annoyed me, Mwananchi, I too had none. I attended no matter to matter of state, highly delicate diplomatic duties, you know. And friend, it goes against my grain, causes my stomach ulcers and wind. Ah, he continued, yawning again, the pain we suffer in building the nation. So the peers had ulcers too. My ulcers, I think, are equally painful. Only they are caused by hunger, not sumptuous lunches. So 2 nation builders arrived home this evening with terrible stomach pain, the result of building the nation. We live in 2 societies. We live in a society where there is a conspiracy. It's about others, and the middle class is shrinking. And this is where I talk to doctors, lawyers, lecturers, teachers. You think you are too smart to go to the street. So you are waiting for crazy people from Kibera, right? Crazy people from Madare, a little bit of Ayela, she doesn't mind being exposed to do the work for you. No wonder you sign those CBOs and they are
and nobody honors them.
They are like tissue paper. No wonder you will treat us without PPO or whatever, without mask. You will treat us because you have not stood for the right thing. You have been quiet. When things are going bad, you are quiet. You only go negotiate within your professional corner. People have known it doesn't matter. They can trash it. They have known I need MCAs. I need to give them car grant. I don't need a doctor. After all, they are not going to mobilize beyond a few press conferences and say, Kenyans, you need to now take on the government. How can a patient strike? They are saying that it is Kenyans now to mobilize. Are you inciting a patient with to go
to strike for you?
You are also a Kenyan. Why can't you demonstrate? They have not demonstrated. So my challenge is this, and I'm not saying this to demean professions. I'm saying this to say that true revolution, we kick the can to the next person because you don't want to pick it and put it in the trash. The doctors kick the can, the lecturers kick the can, everybody kick the can. We laugh about it, we see it in social media, we wait for a better day, we bury our head in the sand. We must take responsibility and say, this is our country, we are in 2 different boats, with one leading us to disaster, and you're not going to do it without our permission. Thank you.
All right. Oh, that's very powerful. Lucia?
On the bottom-up approach, I think it's long overdue. It's the best way of governance, but my people perish for lack of knowledge. I'm looking forward to a time when residents of Kariobangi South will wake up one day and go meet a person and say, we've seen you doing this, we've seen your character, we've seen your performance track record, and now we want you to represent us, rather than waiting for someone to come from somewhere and then come and tell you, oh, so you guys, I have seen your suffering and now want to represent you. It needs to happen the other way around. We are the ones who need to start picking our leaders. I hear Kenyans speaking, and it's people who kind of know what they want, It's just that when it comes to applying it, then
that's where the problem comes in.
That's where the problem comes in, We forget very quickly. We are politically hypnotized. We like I said the other day, we don't have a vision. So what is it that we are really, really working towards? For now, I think we need to work towards our economy. The manufacturing sector has to thrive. The private sector basically has to thrive. And in order for this to happen, policies have to be reviewed. They have to be business friendly. And instead of our legislators just out here making noise, I really wish they would have sat down and just done this. Because if MCAs can get 4 billion car grant, 4.5 billion car grant within days, then it's possible for these policies to be done within. It's possible for these people to do anything in a very short time. They just don't want to do it. And you know, it's high time we as Kenyans. Daktari said something here. If someone was to tell you, give me your money so that I can build a kilometer of tarmac road, we actually give government our money so that they can do this in terms of taxes. This is why we pay taxes, you know. We work so hard to pay these taxes so that you can have infrastructure and the economy can thrive, but then they just don't use the taxes the way they're supposed to be using. Sahi Gerald, nikikunyang'anya do yako hapa sahi, nikikuibia, najua unaweza ninyorosha hapa vibaya sana. It won't even matter that I'm a woman. Ata sahi your human rights you're not thinking about, you've been violated. That's the same kind of violation that we are going through right now, because government is stealing from us. The people we elected to represent our interests are stealing from us. And not only are they stealing our money, they're stealing our dignity. And that is the saddest part. Because as a human being without dignity, what are you?
Nothing. Zero. Nada. We go back to diaspora as we wind up. I'll start all the way right up from Robert Kobe to Kip, and then we close it with Joel Arama.
I think the panelists have actually talked something that is actually something that people should actually listen very well and understand. You know, when I look at Kenya and I look at other countries, when people talk about bottom up, down, left, right, center, whatever economics, it can never work in Kenya. Even the people vouching for bottom up economics right now, it can never work for them. The people who are actually sitting pretty right now are benefiting from the system. The people who want to take the system want to benefit on the system. And Dr. has really said it very well. If people pull a Robin Hood, whereby they bring up resources together to actually perform a certain contract that the government is giving, the next day, KRA will be all over your houses, you know, taxing you on everything, imagining that you've been making millions. And that is how people have been deprived what they can actually do, because the system is not fair, you know. And when we're doing any economic undertaking, the level ground should be fair enough, so that if it's a bottom up, it is a way whereby I can sell mandazis today, make that profit, buy kokoteni, and then the next thing it's a pikipiki as I go up. But the moment kwanza Wakenya wanachuki, we kwanza ukiomoka kidogo, we ni Illuminati. Because we don't love ourselves. We should have a self-conviction, whereby if I see Lucia going ahead, nisianze kusema, oh, Lucia, yo sura amesmailia watu wengine. No, we should be willing to push each other. But the problem with us is, when we start that bottom up, we have the system has literally put up so much law that kuwa tajiri ni makosa. When you want to do something, nobody is willing to help you to do that kind of a thing, because they feel like you're not on the right. It is not normal. It is abnormal for you to be where you are. And literally right now, even people who are down there economically, if they do anything, nobody will believe that it's sheer hard work. They always believe that you've had a leeway through somewhere to actually achieve what you're getting. So for me, I think that our leaders are lying to us. They need to set policies that can actually give us a well-leveled playing ground, whereby if I want to do X, I'm in a position to do it, not because I need somebody to help me do it, but because my ability can make me do it. You know, that is the only thing. In Kenya, if I want to open up a company right now, even the offices where you go open whatever the company, whatever, kuna brokers. I wonder how, yani ama broker wamesimama kunikulia. So unaanzia broker from ground mpaka kwa office. Huyo hata nakudumia bado ni broker. So there is nothing that is so willing to help us. There's nothing that is down there that is going to give us a will to actually do what we really want to do. So for me, I think the politicians, whoever they are, they should now set an example, giving us policies that can actually give us something that can propel us to actually do what we feel that it's going to springboard us up.
Okay. All right, very quickly, keep. Naona wakati imeenda sana, please.
Yes, I will shorten mine. Let's look at statistics. How many people are employed by big companies in Kenya? And what does the big companies in Kenya get from the Kenyan government, especially the taxman? They get subsidies, they get tax breaks, but nobody follows them and asks them, after these tax breaks, how many people did you employ? Some of these big companies are foreign owned. They get the profits from the Kenyan people, and then they ship the money to some islands somewhere where you cannot follow them, or they go back to China or America or the Britain. The problem of the top bottom is the owners or the people who own these things are not Kenyans. And if they are Kenyans, they are well connected, politicians, 2 or 3 former presidents and the presidents, and that's the problem. So if we do the bottom up, now you cannot achieve the bottom up unless you fix few things. One, like Mr. Robert was saying, if I'm going to register a company, the office that I'm approaching or I'm going is one-stop shop, like Huduma Center. The problem is there are brokers there. If I was to go today to Huduma Center, I would be parting with some money here. If I was to go there or even apply online, in this country you register a business online. If you do that, you have empowered the people. You can only build an economy with empowered populace. And what does empowered populace look like? They are well informed. They know their rights. They don't beg nobody. They have money to spend and build and expand their businesses. People who have, know what they need to do to expand the business. You provide also trainings and some short courses, or even if you're doing, say, agriculture business. I remember when we were growing up, there were these agriculture officers coming to teach people how to do good farming. We don't have that anymore. How are you then going to build bottom-up economics if you cannot empower that through teaching of a best practice?
Okay. All right. Arama, quickly.
I think it's the same theme, is provide people opportunity. I will just give a quick analogy of the story of, people giving what we call conditioning therapy or conditioning behavior. Monkeys were put in one room. There was a ladder, some bananas on top. When the first one went to pick up the monkeys, guys came in, beat up all the monkeys. They did that like 2 or 3 times. Now, every time they will bring a new monkey and take out some. If one of the monkeys goes up, the rest of them will beat that one monkey and bring it down so that it doesn't go up. I'm saying that to say that we are so conditioned to not build each other up, and we are so conditioned to make sure that you fail, and then we are happy about it. I read the story the other day of this young lady who has decided to recycle plastics and make building materials. And I'm like, whoa, where was this person when I was building a house? I would have used this. I'm not sure whether she's going to, grow this business to make it whereby building material is more accessible to people and at cheaper price, and at the same time save the environment and get rid of all this waste that is just lying everywhere. So instead, those are the people now the government should be channeling the money to, instead of giving these useless grants to MCAs. Channel this money to this person because they are going to employ people. So that take the same concept and build plants and factories in every county.
Okay.
So that they can do the same building materials in every county. You employ people, people have businesses, people who can know how to use that material to build, you train them. It's a chain reaction. That is the only way we are going to make it this bottom up. Is the right idea, is the right process, but for it to work, we have to put systems and processes in place to move forward.
We must
and to
have
be able
that.
to grow.
All right, thank
And
you.
also look outside. Let's not just think about our own, within Kenya. Also, we need to expand outside the country. then build more opportunities. Kama mchina anakuja Kenya anakuja kuuza samaki kwa jameni na Ojwang ako na samaki Kisumu. What is that? Yeah? We need to be selling that samaki to China also. So those are the things to me I need to consider. So
all right, thank you so much.
Ojwang alibaki na swimming pool.
Yeah, wamebaki na swimming pool. Ongera watu wa Kisumu, wamebaki na swimming pool na samaki ya China. Yesu ni Bwana. Mungu ni mwema. Watu wa diaspora, asante sana. Thank you so much for joining us again on this edition of the diaspora edition. Asante sana. Thank you, Robert Kobe. Thank you, Joel Arama. Chama, asante sana. Keep. We really appreciate you to see you again next week on the next edition of Diaspora Edition. Very quickly, studio, Lucia Ayala, your tackle of the day.
My tackle of the day. There is no Messiah that's coming to solve our problems, especially for young people. And keeping quiet is not helping anybody. When you keep quiet, you're actually enabling the oppressor because they count on you not speaking up. It's important for us to start making our voice heard. You know, if we all speak up, it's going to be extremely difficult to ignore us. Even in history, the people who have delivered nations were young people. It never came from the older generation. Their ancestors, their fossils, they are done. Kazi yenye wamebaki nao ni kwenda kukunywa uji. Let's please make sure they are sitting where they are supposed to be sitting and taking a cup of porridge. Tusiwarudishe kwa hizi viti. Please, I'm just asking all people, exercise your right to vote. Let's just do this. Like, it's enough is enough. Hatuwezi endelea kuishi hivi. We cannot allow this to continue. We will not wake up 25 years from now to find our children struggling with the same things that our grandparents struggled with. It's enough.
All right, Ojwang, your tackle of the day.
The word for 2017, the word for the year was the youth quake. A significant cultural, political, social change arising from actions or influence of young people. It is this youth quake movement that actually ushered in the first president of the United States, who is black, Obama. And so it can be done. You know, somebody said many people know the right thing, but only a few do the right thing. I think that pity party should be over. People should grab themselves, youths, women, poor people, middle-class people should refuse to be a footnote in this country and say we must be the main document, not a footnote. And as Ayela said, the solution is not going to come from politicians. If they are the problem, they cannot be a solution. The solution is not going to come only from prayers. You know, we always pray for our leaders to get wiser. They never get wise, as you have seen. So why don't you pray for that young person who has depression so that they get out of depression and help their country and help themselves? Why don't you pray for a show like this instead of wasting your time praying for leaders to get clarity and things get more darker and darker? We can change it. People have moved from this condition to the best. I think, you know, you have heard the story of the wise man who was given a butterfly by this young guy trying to trap him and ask him, wise man, all wise, is this butterfly alive or dead? And not to ignore the wisdom of the old. Is it alive or dead? And the young man's plan was, if he say it is alive, he will squeeze it to death. If he says it is dead, he will let it fly. The wise man told the young man, it is all in your hands. Wow. If you want it to live, it will live. If you want it to die, it will die. Kenya is in our hands.
Wow, that's very profound. Kenya is in our hands. If we want it to die, it will die. If we want it to live, it will live. This is the tackle, and the tackle ends now. Bye-bye, and see you tomorrow.